Hey, hey, hey. Thanks again for pressing play. Ding. Welcome to the Suns Jam Session Podcast, the original post-game podcast on Planet Purple. My name is John Voight, managing editor of Bright Side of the Sun, and I'm joined as usual by my podcasting partner, the one and only Matthew Lissy, who is not on Twitter. Don't look for him there. I know that everybody looks for you on Twitter. Like, I gotta connect with Matthew Lissy.
Yeah,
Doesn't happen anymore.
all the time, and I'm not on there at all. So yeah, quick story, I'm not on there. I haven't been on there for 30 days, and I'm deleted. So that's the thing. If you're a Twitter user, X user, and you don't use your account for 30 days, you will be deleted, which is kind of weird, and you can't get it back. It's over. So if you are looking for me, I wasn't hacked or anything like that. I'm just gone. He took me out. He saw I was not contributing to his power, and he just got rid of me.
Yeah, that's a weird policy that Elon's got there, because I feel like anything on this planet, except if it's one of those situations where they're trying to ping you for payment, right? Like your Hulu account. If you get a new debit card and you don't pay within the first 30 days and they ping your account, they'll shut it down. But everything else is like a 90-day policy. Like at work, how often do you have to change your password?
Oh, like every 20 days.
20? Wow, you must work like top secret security. Like me, it's 90 days. Everything's normally 90 days. So this is a public service announcement to anybody out there who still uses Twitter. And if you call it X, if you still use that too, if you are dormant and don't log in for 30 days, not only does it deactivate your account, it deletes it and you can't recreate it. It's gone. It's into the ether. It's an interesting strategy by one Elon Musk.
Unless there's something I'm not finding, but I did Google it a few times, and yeah, I can't get it back. It is definitely different because I haven't used like my PlayStation Network in forever, but I still get charged $30 every 3 months. So they keep up with that. They don't delete that. I've not been active for probably 4 years.
Money involved with that one.
Exactly.
The other one, it's
Twitter could be too. You know what I mean? Like, what if I want to get back on, and don't you have to pay for the blue check mark still, or no?
Yeah, you have to pay for it, which my at Darth Voida, where you can find me on Twitter, I don't pay for it, and which it means I can't do. It's kind of like being with the second apron tax restrictions for the Suns, right? If you don't have a blue check mark, there's certain things you can't do. You can't download videos. You can't message people who do have a blue check mark. It just is like, nope, you're in the second apron tax restriction. Stop. Now wiggle with it. Stop. Now wiggle with it. There's your public service. But welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Suns Jam Session Podcast. This one is the Suns Media Rewind. It was Suns Media Day here on a beautifully 110-degree day and the last day of September here in Phoenix, Arizona. And it's like the first day of school. It's going down to the arena. Everything's set up. The players are coming in one after another to conduct their interviews. There's excitement in the air. There's new philosophies. There's obviously a new coach this year. So there's plenty to talk about on what our observations were, what storylines are coming out of Media Day. And this is kind of the official start of the season. Training camp starts tomorrow. Within a week, I think 7 days, is when the Suns have their first preseason game against the Los Angeles Lakers. Then they go to they don't play at Detroit. They're playing up in Michigan, though, before coming and having their quote-unquote home opener on the 11th against the Pistons for the preseason. And it all starts now, Matthew. Like, here goes. We're starting. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Yeah, here we go again. And being at Media Day today, too, I mean, the first time being there, it's overwhelming, of course, for someone like me, first time being there. Second time, it's kind of like, okay, well, you kind of get the hang of it. And now I think that going into this year, things might be a little easier. It always is a grind, and I do enjoy it. But yeah, man, here we go, dude. And everyone is back. The players, the coaches, everyone just seemed excited today. And I just can't wait to get this thing started.
Amen. So we got a jam-packed show for you, Jamsters, to talk about everything that we observed at Media Day. A reminder, if you're not currently subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do us a solid. We're going to be around for this entire season. We go live after every single Suns game, so you want to make sure you subscribe. You want to make sure that notification bell is turned to on. So once we go live, boom, you get that little notification on your phone, and you know to come join us. If you happen to be listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. That is, rate us 5 stars, write a review. We'll read it right here on the podcast. And it's a great way to help with the algorithms, let everybody know where your favorite place to come watch Phoenix Suns content is. And maybe we're not that favorite place. Maybe we're like number 10 on the list. Hey, we're happy to be 10. On your list.
There's only 5 podcasts. They're number 10.
They're like, we will listen to Locked On twice before we listen to Suns Jam Session once. But if it's a slow day and I've had nothing to do but listen to podcasts, when I get down to my 10th slot, there you are, Suns Jam Session. We're excited to be with you. So without further ado, crack them if you got them, Suns fans. And let's talk about everything that went down on Suns Media Day. That's right, Jamsters. Suns Media Day popping off in downtown Phoenix. Started at 11:30 today, and a great opportunity to get to meet your 2024-2025 Phoenix Suns. From Matt Ishbia all the way down to the two-way contract players and guys who are going to be playing in the G League. They were all there at the arena, getting their photos taken, having the promotional videos videotaped, and of course, spending a little time with the media, which brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Matthew, I gotta ask, what is your one? If you were to tell people your one takeaway from today's media day, what would that be?
Just the same old faces. I think that's all it is. I think last year going to media day, you couldn't wait to see Bradley Beal. You couldn't wait to see Nurk, what they look like up close, like in the jerseys for the first time. This time it's kind of like, the same guys. There's a few new extra faces that, of course, got a little bit more attention because I guess it kind of leads to Grayson Allen, him moving as a sixth man, and also like Bud, our new head coach, what he has planned for the team. That's all interesting, but just the core 6, the core 7, core 8, that's the same guys. So it just seemed like kind of like last year again, the same exact thing. So I think that's my biggest takeaway for sure.
So essentially it's the continuity. And I agree with you that is one of my primary takeaways. It's not probably my number one takeaway, but it's one of my primary takeaways is the continuity that this team is going to possess and how valuable it is. And it's definitely something we've talked about this offseason. We said that, hey, this team returning 9 players from a year ago is going to provide value. Knowing that this time last year, as you mentioned, on Suns Media Day, there was a new head coach and only 4 players returned from the previous season. And one of them would be injured the next couple days, and that was Damian Lee. It was all you had was Josh Okogie, Damian Lee, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. Those are the only guys returning from the previous season. So this year, you feel that sense of continuity, and you can hear it in some of the answers provided by the coaching staff and the players as they have a good understanding of their role. And last year was a lot more of a, hey, we can't wait to see it. And this year, it's like, hey, we can't wait to perfect it. And I think that is definitely a vibe I picked up on. Gosh, I could go 2 ways on like the number one thing, my number one takeaway for this Suns Media Day. And I don't know which way to go. All right, A or B?
B. Let's go B.
Hi, Barbie.
Oh, hi, Alan.
Oh, Grayson Allen, our fortunate guy.
All right,
Shots,
Grayson Allen is he's got to be my number one takeaway. He's got to be for a couple of reasons. One, it's something last year, like I truly enjoyed just hearing Grayson Allen's commentary. Now, remembering that he had just joined the team like a week prior. He was part of that trade and with DeAndre Ayton, the Damian Lillard trade ultimately. And he was brand new to the Valley, but still some of the insight that he gave during his interview on Media Day last year was very insightful and very candid, and something that I was like, you know what? Like I think we all did last year. We all left with a different point of view on Grayson Allen. This year, he comes back. Obviously, he's had a summer of stability, if you will, because he's not being traded or was just traded. But he also had a summer in which he clearly beefed up I mean, if you take a look at last year's media day picture versus this year, Grayson Allen looks like a fucking he looks like a wrestler on the Mr. McMahon documentary.
Yeah.
He is fucking ripped, dude. He gained 35 pounds of muscle. That is as much as a 4-year-old child. That is a cinder block of muscle that he added. And you take that and part of the questions were like, yo, did everyone noticed it when he walked in.
Yeah.
And he said, the goal for him ever since 4 years ago when he had a hip injury was to continue to build his strength, lower body, having a good base. And he's always felt good with a little bit more strength, a little bit more weight, and a little bit more muscle. And he chuckled because he's like, I know my listed weight is still like 195 pounds. I'm nowhere close to that. I'm around 230. So we might need to finally update that. And when asked why did he bulk up so much this offseason, he said it was a lot of in-game soreness in the past. Being stronger helps with that. Being able to guard bigger guys, being stronger helps with that. He's had a lot of those little injuries, and each year he wants to get stronger. And a byproduct of that, he's like, I'm doing a lot of screen and rolling now in the preseason, which is a little new for me. It's like, I think if you look around the league, a lot of teams are having success offensively. They kind of have positionless basketball. I think that will help a lot with our switching if matchup dependent guys are setting screens like himself, but not just setting screens to get the switch, but setting the screen to get an attack out of it, being a good screener, having good angles. And that all kind of, that to me was the best part of the day, was one, seeing him come out, and two, accepting the role that he's going to take with Tyus Jones coming here. He recruited Tyus Jones to come here and ultimately take his starting spot. He's now, we call him our fuck shit up guy. He looks like he can fuck shit up, Matthew.
Yeah, he literally looks like he can take anybody on the team right now. He walked into the media area and I was like, I guess I can try to look like that. What the fuck, man? Like, his jersey was definitely a size too small. He didn't let the jersey people know ahead of time, handing them out. Like, hey, I might want to size up. Because he talked about, he's like, I've been trying to get bigger, like he said, every offseason. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure it was just this offseason, man. Like, I think the tan made it look even bigger. He looks more like Booker now with the tan, just in a little bit more ripped and stuff. So he's definitely ripped more than Booker. But I like the fact that he did focus on the injury part. That was really cool. I'm like, he gets hurt, his hips. He had that hip injury, so he wants to get stronger. Last year, I mean, even the years prior in the playoffs, the defense was the thing, not able to contain anybody on the perimeter and really just kind of being a pigeon sometimes on defense. So now this will probably help him. So this whole team, I mean, we'll go down the line, has really tried to improve their game. Bud's been on them in the offseason, but Grayson Allen took it upon himself to get bigger and to do it for the right reasons, to not get hurt and to play out of position at times, because he knows it's going to happen on his team. Like he said, positionless. So he's prepared for it all. He probably knew what was going to come this season, probably knows what's going to come this season, because last season was such a crazy mess, but he was probably the one bright spot.
Yeah.
He just knows. Yeah. He just knows he's going to be asked to do a lot more, but dude, that dude was ripped.
He was ripped. And kind of in the same breath, you had Yusuf Nurkic.
Delicious definition make them boys go crazy.
Oh. So Nurk comes out and is looking a little bit thinner, right? And he's like, I don't like the word smaller, but he pretty much was talking about how he also focused on becoming more athletic, because both of them, if you look at it, like Grayson's thicker for sure, and he's going to be a better screener. I'm really interested to see how bulking up like he did affects his shot, and if it affects his shot, because obviously that's his go-to. When it comes to Nurk, he's always been so big, but he wants to continue to be healthy and available. And he even said it in his press conference. He's just like, hey, everyone says I'm injury prone, but I played over 70 something games last year. I'd like to play all 82. And part of that is making sure that I'm in shape physically to take on the workload that lies before me and have the ability to go out and perform consistently. And so you've seen this pivot with a couple of our guys where we didn't see that last year, right? Now, again, you only had 4 guys returning, but it didn't feel like there was a lot of focus on what can we do personally with our bodies to be the machines that they need to be to take on the 82 game season. Last season it was just like I can't wait to meet the new guys that I'm supposed to play with. Like Grayson said in his interview, he's like, the first time I stepped on the floor with the Suns was the first day of training camp. Whereas this time, he and other members of the Suns referenced on numerous occasions, they've been working out and playing pickup games together for the past few weeks. So you already have that connectivity combined with some physicality and some taking care of their bodies in an effort to be more available and effective this season.
Yeah, my favorite part too, like you said, perfecting this season, kind of going off of last season, like you're kind of heading into the season knowing what you have. Now you can try to perfect it. So that's exactly what these guys are doing, especially Nurk, coming off of a great year, right? I think we kind of forgot about it because of a poor playoff performance by everybody.
I didn't forget about it.
Yeah, I kind of did.
Nurk.
Yeah, and here I go again, wanting to trade him, but I think he kind of forgot. He doesn't care about that anymore. I think he blocked you too. I'm not sure. He might have.
He
blocked
did.
You. I think he blocked everybody.
Well, he blocked you
He's
so hard
ready
you're
for
off
this
Twitter.
Yeah, they might have all blocked me at once. That whole Suns team.
Three-
Like, no, this
After
Matthew
a pickup
Lisby,
game?
he can't shut his mouth. We gotta get him out of here, Twitter. I think that Nurk he's in for another surprise this year. Like he has remained healthy and he's building off of that. Even Plumlee mentioned too when he came up to the podium that he wants to play behind Nurk and hopefully that Nurk has his best year yet. So there's a lot of support for Nurk. And, Bud's been on him too since Bud's been here. And he said that he's been texting him, making sure that he's doing this, doing that. And that's what Nurk wants. He doesn't want someone that's a bullshitter. He pretty much said, and that might have been who we had last year with Frank Vogel. Some guy that just kind of is like, he's one of these dudes. Just going to tell you what you want to hear, but Bud's going to tell him what he doesn't want to hear. And he's going to tell him the truth and how he feels. So you can already tell that's kind of meshing, and he's excited for that. And he did say that he would love to be here, right?
Yes, for 10 years.
10 years. So he does love it here in Phoenix. You heard that a lot, but to be here in the second season after a depressing season, a depressing ending, and to come back and be like, I still want to be here. Like that's good. That was nice to hear for me.
I think that you bring up a great point about Mike Budenholzer, because Nurkic was the one who kind of exposed that to us, right? A lot of the players had similar observations about how they have been talking to Coach Bud, and he's been telling them things that they need to do. But Nurkic is the one who's like, he's the one who's not giving me lip service, essentially. And that was, I'm not going to say that's a dig at Frank Vogel, but it was recognized as something that Mike Budenholzer is doing well for this team. So yeah. I know we're jumping all over the place, but Mike Budenholzer.
Play fast, play random, play together, play in great space. Let's go play some basketball, have some fun.
Budenholzer, Budenholzer, Budenholzer.
What Mike Budenholzer, you can instantly feel the change in the building. And that was kind of like my second, if I said A or B and you said B, so I went the Grayson route. A was the impact that Mike Budenholzer's already having on this team. They haven't had a practice yet together, but there is already a clear message and direction and vision for this team. And good, bad, or indifferent, there it is. It makes its return. I haven't said good, bad, or indifferent in like 6 months. It's been a while.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Where else am I going to say it?
Not
just
the
no.
sourdough? Oh,
like, listen, good, bad, or indifferent. The sourdough tastes delicious. Good, bad, or indifferent. Frank Vogel, I never felt had a vision. I felt he was a lip service coach. It's something we talked about on the podcast about, especially being around the organization, seeing the team in the pregame and the postgame interviews with Vogel. And there's some monotony in that. There's not going to be a constant and consistent free flow of information that is always honest. But when it came to Frank, he kind of felt like an uncle who was just lying to you all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, no, I got you something for your birthday. Even though like your birthday was 2 weeks ago, and then you end up getting some shitty present that he clearly bought at like Walgreens on the way over to your birthday party.
Yeah.
And there was a lack of trust, I feel, at least, again, from the outside looking in on Frank Vogel. And this isn't here to be a Frank Vogel bash fest. This is here to point out how different the philosophy of Mike Budenholzer is and how it's already being instilled in these players. Ishbia said it right off the bat. He's like, this guy is so detail-oriented. He instantly came in and started changing things to fortify his message, to fortify his philosophies. Yeah. He's reaching out to his players. He's having those conversations, which I don't know if that ever happened with Vogel.
No, I don't think it did, but I don't know. That's just us speculating. But these players are talking nonstop about this. The communication they had, they know where Bud's at, right? He's in the building as soon as he joins the team, so they know where he's at. He knows where the players are at, not just like physically, but just mentally and what they're preparing for the
Bingo.
season.
He's having those conversations.
Those are the ones, and you can feel it too in the press conference, man. Like, guy is no BS. It's just like, we got a new at work. We got a new CFO. He comes in. Why are we not making money? There's AR to be collected. Let's go collect it. It's that easy, right? It is that easy. There's threes to be made for the Suns. He knows exactly what this team needs to win. So he kind of seems like, straight to the line. I love the uncle thing where you're like, he does seem like a better uncle. He seems like a better Budenholzer seems like a guy you want to bring to dinner and have a chat with your family. Like, you can trust him. He seems like he is no BS and he'll have fun with you. Frank would be like the guy that would dip out like a quick little phone call, be like, hey, I got to get out of here. Sorry, something came up. But Bud's definitely a guy that you want around the family. I guess that's what I'm saying.
No, but because there's an honesty to him. And again, where he stands on things. I don't know if we ever knew where we felt or where we stood with Frank. We knew where we stood with Monty. I honestly believe that. We knew where we stood with him. Frank, it got to the point, and again, the players released this information. It came out via The Athletic like 20 minutes after the season ended, how in Los Angeles, after getting blown out by the Clippers, all of a sudden he went on the kind of like this accountability tirade, and they're like, who's this guy? Whereas you have to work hard to develop those relationships, to have those outbursts of accountability. You can't just be like, yeah, do what you do, man. Do like imagine you and I doing the podcast. Right. And let's say that you miss a show and you miss another one and you miss another one. And every time you're like, hey, man, I can't make it. And I'm like, yeah, no worries. And then one time you say you can't make it. And then I just like lose my shit on you, but I do it live on the show. It's not tactful. It's horrible leadership. And again, here I am shitting on Frank, but you're sensing that different vibe. The other message that came out from multiple players is the focus on 3-point shooting. And I love the fact that this team is going to focus on 3-point shooting because they have the personnel to do it. This team was 5th in the NBA last year in 3-point percentage and 25th in total attempts. We all knew it was an issue. We never understood why. Why is this team not taking more threes? They're good at it. They should be hitting it. And Bradley Beal was a great representative of that. He's like, I've already had conversations and sat down with Coach Bud where he's shown me 5 or 6 different instances where I could have taken a 3, but I opted to drive, to pick and pop, and I ended up turning the ball over. So I wasted a possession when I could have just took a 3. The team was thinking too hard into the schemes instead of trying to just execute with simplicity. Beal said it, somebody's like, well, are you going to be shooting more threes? He's like, we're not going to have a choice. Like, they will be shooting more threes. And I think that, again, you take a look at the fact that the top tier teams in the NBA are the ones who not only shoot volume threes, but do it effectively. The Suns have the ability and capacity to do that with some of the greatest shooters in the league. And this year they're truly going to focus on it. And I think it's something that we can all be excited for as Suns fans.
Yeah. And Bradley Beal is definitely excited about it. Another guy that's slimmer, a guy that is definitely looks slimmer, not as slim as Nurk, but he did mention that he did lose some weight.
Yeah.
And he is excited to be the old Beal again out there with Tyus Jones now starting with him at the 2, with Beal at the 2. Like, he can play his own way. So he seemed more excited. I think like after Matt Ishbia went up there super the way he is, right? He's Adderalled up.
Did he feel like less Adderalled up today?
He did. He made a little bit more sense, right? He kind of completed a sentence. He went on for a little bit longer.
Completed a thought.
Yeah. Before it'd be like maybe he's just a little nervous before, right? He had his 1 year and this is his first time doing it. So he did slow down and he was comprehensible. So I do appreciate that. And after going from that to Bartlenstein, and then you got James Jones and you got the head coach. And then you kind of got Booker and Kevin Durant. Then Beal comes back on. You kind of got a smile. You kind of got that energy back, right?
Yes.
So that was kind of nice to see because I'm like, dude, those other guys are just like kind of hung over and stuff, just kind of get this thing over with. But Beal was excited to be back here. He seemed more comfortable to be back here in Arizona. Before, you just kind of saw that last year, that look on his face, like, this is really new to me. I don't feel too comfortable. But he definitely looked and felt a lot more comfortable up there on the podium.
Well, speaking of Bradley Beal.
And she said, you're not the only one, but you're the best, Bradley.
I agree with you. I think he was my second favorite interview today because he did bring that energy. There was a very business-like approach to everybody who was before Bradley Beal. And then Beal came out and he was just like, what's up, y'all? He's tapping the mic, kind of having fun with it, and was just jovial. And you're right. Last season was his first non-Washington Wizards press conference in his career after 12 years. Just moved his family, hot as shit. He's adjusting to everything. Now he has, again, this is why this season is so much different than last season. And as much as people want to point to all the issues that we had last year, this is why I'm valuing continuity. And I'm glad that some of the other members of the press and the media were asking this question, because I clearly didn't have the balls to do it. They were focusing on continuity, and Bradley Beal was one of the ones right there who was just like, yeah, I'm more comfortable. I get to be Bradley Beal again. I had to do a lot of things that were outside of my purview last year, and that's okay. But that's not who I really am. That's not the best version of me. Now with Tyus here, I'm going to have the opportunity to be the best version of me. And I'm excited for that. And I'm excited to have fun with this. And I will say one of my favorite moments of Media Day today was when Bradley Beal was getting off the stage. And I noticed when he went on the stage, but when he was getting off the stage, I noticed that he had these like sick Jordan 3s on. They're all white. They got the little cement thing on them, and then they had like this valley gradient on the side and back of them. So after he walked away, he went and he got on with, I want to say, Wolf and Lipinski. Yeah, went over there, interview with him. But once he was done, I was like, "Hey, Brad, is there if I take a picture of those shoes real quick?" He's like, "Absolutely, man. Go ahead." He's like, "They aight." And I took a couple pictures, and and I looked, and I was like, "Hey, I appreciate it." He's like, "Nah, no problem, man." Like. It was my favorite moment. I was like, I'm just sitting there like taking pictures of Bradley Beal's shoes.
Nice, dude. You just had like a mirror on the tip of your shoe too. You're like, oh, a little closer. Come a little closer, sir. All right. No, that was pretty cool. I thought that he just kind of got like the energy back in the room. I just felt like he totally did that. And that's the way he was on the court last year to the end of the year. He was just the guy to kind of bring the energy back when Kevin Durant and Booker were just kind of struggling out there to get any kind of vibe going. So he's definitely that guy if he can stay healthy. And he mentioned the injuries too, just how he got injured. Tried to get in sync, got injured, got in sync, and they just never knew what to do last year. So I really just hope the one guy, there might be injuries, but if he can just have a full season of at least 70, 75 games, that would be amazing for his career.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's like he said, he doesn't have to take on all these extra responsibilities that he had to in the past. And I that's going to be something that is very, it's a game changer. It really is a game changer for Bradley Beal, because he's ready to take everything that is going to be out there for him. And I really think we're going to have a great year from Bradley Beal. Again, knocking on wood. And I see John Tran. Good to see you in the chat there. He's like, I was trying to find lots of wood to knock on when he mentioned that this is the healthiest he's been. I think we all were, because he is kind of the soul of this team. You got a bunch of assassins on this team. You got your goofballs, and then you got kind of the soul. And I feel like Bradley Beal's the soul. And David Yolovich shouts out, it was the Balvin Jordans. If you look up Balvin Jordan, they're like $500 on StockX, which is NBA poor. I mean, those are when you only paid $500 for your shoes, but they look really good. I'm a big fan of those shoes. Obviously, the event, Suns Media Day began with Matt Ishbia coming out, and he revealed the fact that the team will be honoring Al McCoy with a jersey. If you take a look, I'm going to pull up the picture of Suns jerseys. On the left shoulder, it's going to say Al with that black ribbon. I think we all kind of would have liked Shazam, and even Booker said that. He's like, I heard Shazam was in the running, and that would have been iconic.
All day he was talking about it.
Yeah.
How did they not get Booker what he wants with that? Maybe because of the movie Shazam. Is that why?
No, there's no copyright infringement there. Maybe. It would be legendary, and like Booker said, iconic if it said Shazam instead of Al. Because the casual viewers watching, if they see AL, they'll be like, "Who's AL?" I don't know, but we know it's Al, but they might think it's initials. But if they see Shazam,
Al McCoy,
that's probably too long. Shazam's 6 letters.
Well, it's a long strip, so
but
it's fine.
But if you'd done Shazam, like people would have Googled that. If they're watching the game, well, what the fuck say Shazam for? That? Oh shit, that's pretty cool. But when you take a look at these 3 jerseys real quick, we already know what the City Edition jersey is going to be. What do you notice about these jerseys? Tell me 2 things you notice about these jerseys.
2 things I noticed about the jerseys is they are the same from last year and the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have the same statement edition. It appears, which is fine. That's the same.
Yeah.
We've had the same statement edition jersey for 3 years, right? The black jersey with the Valley gradient. It's gonna say PHX on it.
Yep.
A great move. Like that should be a permanent jersey. What's
Oh
the
yeah, for sure. I absolutely love all three of those. And the wood in the back is a little different.
Stupid. The PayPal logo is
PayPal
different as
logo.
well. It's not the double P. It just says
Sorry,
PayPal.
we went over that before the
Yeah, and
before
you
the show.
forgot.
I fucked it up.
So, what are your thoughts on them? Yeah, John Tran says American League, and David Yolovich agrees with what Espo said. Said it should be Shazam, but the AM are a different color for Al McCoy at the end. Like that would have been the dub, if you will. But what are your thoughts on how Matt Ishbia came out and opened up with this information? And is it the right move?
Yeah. Are you talking about just the strip still? The
Yes.
Al McCoy strip?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's
The
brilliant.
wood, the wood in the background. That's what I'm
The
talking
wood,
about.
yeah. I mean, it was the
poop
first
on
thing
the
to be
floor.
yeah, poop stain on the carpet
Poop stain on
floor.
the carpet floor.
Yeah, I think opening with the whole Al statement and going over, what they're going to have on the jerseys was the perfect way to open it. Just kind of get that out of the way and just mention how important he was. There was a few players that I've also mentioned it as well. But I think that the way that Ishbia came out and, the way that last season did end with him saying that he loved this roster and we were like, are you fucking serious? Like looking at all the other teams that were still playing in the playoffs, it's like you'd rather have this roster over this one with Minnesota over
that's right.
Denver still. Like, we were just like that. But now it's just like, yeah, you're actually right, man. Like this is your second full year. You can tell he did slow things down. You can tell he's kind of he's still surrounding himself with positive people that are still like involved heavily with the players and going in different directions, helping out with scouting and all of that, to where he's just saying, and the other guys kept saying this too, even James Jones, is like, the money is just not, there's no limit to it. He's going to give us what we need, what we want, all that. So you kind of heard that reinforced. And I know it's always talked about, but that's one thing that's really important to me, I feel like, just because we heard it the first year. We know about the tax apron, and he mentioned stuff about that too. But just to know that's a continuous thing where he just does not care. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there might be a time where it's a breaking point. It's like, all right, guys, chill out. But it's like, no, it's endless for him to help this team win and just to make sure that the Mercury and the Suns are set up for success. So I love that he keeps talking about that. That puts me at ease because I feel like that's just so important for the team's success, because a lot of players do want to play here, and just to know the facilities are just up to date, everything that the players need, they get. Like, that's really important to me.
Well, and he's like, nobody's come up to me and said, hey, slow down on the spending. He's like, don't worry about that. That's for me to worry about.
Yeah.
He said,
they never asked about the taxes. Yeah.
Yeah, they never asked about the taxes. He's like, we're about winning. We're not shying away from either, referencing the tax and the second apron restrictions. He's like, and I think we're doing all right. And probably my favorite quote that he said, and I agree with this, is no one will ever question how much we care. And I think that that's a valuable statement, because he does. He cares about this team. He wants he knows how to obviously, he's a great public speaker. Yeah. He knows how to finesse the crowd, but he backs it up with action. And that's one thing you have to say. Whatever your thoughts are on the transactions that have occurred since Matt Ishbia showed up, this second day being here and getting rid of the Twins and bringing in KD and then Bradley Beal, and that wasn't the best of deal. He does shit. He cares. He's trying. He's taking swings while investing in the community, while investing in the team. And I love that he is our owner. And again, I'm like other people. I don't always agree with every move that he makes, but I'm glad that he's making moves. I've said this before. Imagine being a fucking Bulls fan. If you go on the Bulls like spot track page and you're trying to see what their recent transactions were, they made one trade this offseason, and before that, the last one they made was like 2020. They just don't make trades. They don't try. They don't take swings. They're not trying to win. Whereas Ishbia is trying to win. And he's like, we learned from last season. We've instituted that to this season. Josh Bartlestein comes in right after him and is talking about how continuity matters and how great it is that he's given all the resources necessary to be successful because Ishbia believes in it. So you have that as the vision. Then you have James Jones comes out and, he's talking about how he really thinks this team has a chance, and how, when it comes to the Kevin Durant extension, he's like, we want him here. We'll figure that out. And even KD fortified that as well, how it's like, the extension's out there. It's one of those looming things that people are kind of talking about or not talking about. It's a while away. It's still, as KD mentioned, a couple years away. but everything said, when he talked about his strategy on how he was building this team, is he wanted to ensure that we had all bases covered. And outside of really size, I would say they do have all their bases covered, right?
Yeah, they do. And then even size, like their front court is very versatile, I think. But the rebounding thing is going to probably be an issue this year. That's probably the one thing we're going to have to look out for. But, if they play to their advantage, with the threes and the speed that they can play with the 2-point guards, then I think that's the advantage that they have over a lot of teams that can rebound. You know what I mean? If they're not getting the second chance points, they'll probably just be hitting those threes. The shooting percentage should still be there with the attempts. Still skyrocketed a little bit, what was it, like 6 or 7 attempts more this year? And Grayson Allen said, that's like one more player just with their attempts, with 5 or 6 attempts. So it'll be something that the Suns have to kind of conquer this year, where between the rebounding and then kind of trying to play in their style, but also just keeping the fans happy and just know, like, hey, this team they're good enough to get to the playoffs. They're good enough to maybe contend. Maybe they're good enough they make one more transaction at the trade deadline, but right now, looking at this team, like, they have the right mindset, and I think that's the most important thing. I think just the belief in this team and to bring the guys back, and just to know that you have the continuity. You don't have the young guys anymore, really, except for the 2 rookies. You don't have that young core anymore, but there's still that core, which is very, 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 very valuable in today's NBA, because you got to kind of feed off of last year and to come back and just be stronger.
100%. And every like you said, rebounding might be an issue. There's going to be some defensive issues for sure with this team. They're not a lockdown defensive team, but they have guys who can come in and contribute in that capacity, whether it's Royce O'Neal, whether Ryan Dunn's getting some of those minutes to try to just put a stick in the wheel of the spokes of the opposing team. Who else stood out to you?
I think that just Tyus, that was the one. I feel like everyone was kind of pretty excited, even though they kind of left before he came up.
Sha la 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 la. Mr. Jones and me.
Tyus Jones, man. The man of the hour, I think.
He was.
Yeah, he really was.
Every other player was talking about him.
Yeah, I mean, even the one, Grayson Allen having to give up his spot is not his spot, but just the role of just being the 5th starter. Like, he just knows that's over with, right? Recruiting him, getting him here, that's big, because Tyus taking the pay cut and then Grayson Allen giving up his spot, going to 6th. Like, this is just all about winning. And Tyus is like he has the perfect answers out there, just answering everything. Just like, I'm here to win, like taking the pay cut. I just know my chances here in Phoenix is the best place to win, all that stuff. So saying what he needs to say, but I think it's just he's the one piece that kind of moved other things around. And he's also the one piece that we're counting on heading into the season. He has, I feel like, just the most pressure this year to kind of just make everything flow. And there was a question asked, I think it was maybe Gerald Bourguet, but someone brought up, there's a lot of, stress now on you just to make sure that everyone gets the best look. And there's a lot of stars on the team. That's a lot of pressure for this guy. But I feel like just from the vibes and stuff he gives off, like, he's ready for it. Yeah. He's ready for it. He just said, like, this is going to be the best version of himself. He's a winner. And I think that he just is capable of taking this team to the next level.
I do too. And again, it feels like from Ishbia on down the line, everybody was talking about the impact that Tyus Jones is going to have on this team. And when he came out and he started speaking, I realized something. One of the biggest issues with last season's team was one that was intangible. It was leadership. We didn't have a leader on that team. That we know that. Bradley Beal displayed some traits in the last 10 games, and we all got super excited. We're like, holy shit, leadership. Tyus Jones has that gene about him. I honestly believe that.
Yeah.
And the point guard should, because you're the one who's setting the table for everyone else on the team to be successful. You couple that with the fact that he's played before with Grayson Allen, and the fact that he's won a national championship with Grayson Allen, and Grayson most certainly vouches for him. Booker referenced, he's like, Tyus and I, 2014 draft, same draft class. So they know each other. There's that relationship. And KD just wants to hang out on the side and just stroke jumpers all day long. and be set up for success, Tyus is going to do that for him.
Yeah.
All that playmaking responsibility is off of the shoulders of Bradley Beal. Again, Beal was so happy. He's like, we get to go back to our traditional roles, man. Like there's a new energy this year, and that energy starts with what Tyus Jones is potentially going to bring to this team. Now, yes, he's going to have that stress. He's going to be the one who's responsible for making sure that everybody's fed appropriately every night. He's the one who sets the table, makes sure they're fed, and he's going to have to break everything down. He's probably going to have to call the caterer and bust some dishes. He might be on KP duty. But I think he's willing to do that. And he understands this unique opportunity that lies before him. Because as he referenced the NBA landscape, obviously noting that Grayson Allen was a integral part in his recruitment to come into Phoenix, he understood that what the Suns had to offer with the level of talent around him, it's something that, you're going to take a pay cut for 1 year to come here and try to make that impact and prove that you're worth more than the open market ultimately paid you.
Yeah, and even like Monte Morris, like that's another name where we got him, and we were excited to just have Monte Morris, a decent guard, a guard that does not turn the ball over, and now he has to kind of move out of the way too for Tyus Jones. So he's a guy that's very calm, very chill. Someone just mentioned in our little comments,
in our chat,
David Jolovich, someone said that he looks like Book's younger bro. I cannot see it. So I definitely do see that just because of his demeanor. He just is a guy that is very, very relaxed, and that is perfect. That's a perfect guy next to these stars, and there's a lot of pressure. But I'm telling you, man, like there is, like you said, something about him. It's just the right fit. It's a guy that we've always wanted. Some guy that's always been on the wrong team because he's a winner, and now he has a chance to really prove himself, and he's up for it.
Yeah, he was another one I was unbelievably excited for. Listened to his press conference, sharing his journey coming here, and he must have said it was hot like 30 times though. He's just like, God, it's hot. I've been here for 2 weeks.
I was like, well, just hold on, dude. There was like some storm in Mexico or something that made it hot. I don't even know, because the temperature was down to like 90, and then it went right back up to 110. So there was
115, dude. 115. It's a bunch of bullshit. Another guy I wanted to talk about is Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee. So I do love Mason Plumlee coming out with the book ones on. Nurkic had book ones on as well. I absolutely love that. It's already integrating yourself into the team. So my question when it comes to Mason Plumlee, is he the best center in the history of the franchise to wear number 22?
Absolutely not. I saw DA today at Media Day, and he was eating some popcorn, and he was having a good time. I swear I laugh my ass off. Every time I have that guy with the audio on when it's on Twitter, no matter how mad I am at the dude for not staying here and just proving himself, he cracks me up. He's funny as hell. But I think DA still is right now the best number 22. And unless Plumlee wins as a championship.
I'm being facetious, but I like his addition as well, and I like some of his takes, understanding, having that relationship as a fellow Dookie and as somebody who's played, against the Suns. And he had that interesting observation when he's like, yeah, when we came here last year and played against the Suns, like something was wrong here, We didn't know what it was, but on the opposing side, I did too.
I love that.
It was an outside looking in perspective of how the Suns were. And he's like, when the Clippers came here to play, like we knew something was wrong with this team. And I'm glad that I'm going to be here to help fix it.
I love that stuff because you never think about, the players actually having a personality or just the reaction of like, hey, like something is wrong with this team. Like they can just see it. They can hear it. Like, I like that. So it's like, it doesn't make us feel too crazy that we were like, just so let down and so just pissed off about last year because there was obviously something wrong. So I love hearing that there's another point of view.
Yep. Anything else on Mason Plumlee?
Big ass dude. He just is a big bro. He's definitely just a big bro, dude. Right.
But remember last year when Drew Eubanks came around the corner and we're like, holy shit, this guy looks like a fucking juiced up Marine. I'd rather have Plumlee.
Yeah,
just
Plumlee,
seeing him.
He looks like he's more of a statue. He does look like a Greek statue. Like he just has that kind of look to him.
He needs to wear like the
Yeah, he definitely looks like that. Like he just wears just
A
nothing
toga?
but a leaf. Yeah,
like,
a toga.
Yeah, he's rocking a toga with like
just a
leaves in his
leaf.
ears.
Just
And
one
he's
leaf.
He's just like just one leaf. Whoa, no toga, just a
No
leaf.
toga, just a leaf.
Ryan Dunn. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so there is an annual tradition on Media Day where I ask one question to one player. Last year, I asked Keita Bates-Diop a question, and I asked Ryan Dunn a question this time. He was the guy I asked a question, and I just asked him how his jumper's coming along, because that's obviously the one thing we all care about. And he spent, he said he's spending a lot of time working on that jumper. Obviously, it's something that he understands and recognizes is a challenge and is a learning opportunity for him. And it gave me the right answer, I guess. We're one of like 7 people left in the room at that point.
Yeah, you know what I was gonna say. Even last year, I feel like there should be a stopping point for these players, because it's not rude, but maybe it is. But
Does it feel bad?
As soon as like, who was before Okogie? Who came up before Okogie? Was it Tyus Jones?
It might have been Tyus.
Before Tyus, which I was shocked. A lot of the media just left, and they're scattering as Tyus was coming up. And then when Okogie came up, another half of them left. So I'm like, that must just kind of feel bad. I know they don't care about the media, but it's like they come out, it's media day, and then the media they don't want anything to do with you. I feel like it's a bad look. But I was like, I had my head down. I'm like, oh, poor dude. I don't want to look at his reaction.
Yeah, well, but by the time Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro came around, there was like 7 of us left in the room.
Just a janitor, yep.
Yeah, it was like you, me, the janitor, Dwayne Rankin, Gerald Bourguet, Kellen Olson, and another janitor for some reason.
Yeah.
But if we go back up, we didn't talk about Booker KD. So which one would you like to talk about?
Book.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Big Dick Booker.
Year 10 for BDB, the Big Dick Booker. Back looking at Oso Fly, rocking the creamsicle book ones coming in, and obviously sharing his thoughts on Al McCoy, seeing as he's the most tenured son and probably the only one on the team who had a relationship in any capacity, considering that Al McCoy called his last game in 2023 and damn near the entire roster is different from between now and then. Commented on Diana Taurasi and what she's meant to just women's basketball, and how this next generation of stars is directly a conduit and a result of the efforts that Diana Taurasi put together, and talked a little bit about just being in Paris and being on the Olympic team and winning the gold. So what were your takeaways from Booker, other than the fact that you thought he was hungover?
Yeah, definitely hungover. Beard looked good. I feel like it gets bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah, I did write his beard in my notes.
Yeah, it's definitely getting bigger. So I think Book's always, I feel like, had a harder time growing a beard, but he's done it like the right way. Like you never think it can get any bigger or like go a different direction, or maybe
now it's like coming up the side now.
Yeah, now it's coming up the side more and it's going down a little bit lower. It just looks really full. It's not like James Harden full, but it's getting pretty big now. So that was my first takeaway. But it's the same thing of him just kind of answering questions about, I don't know. I just feel like it's just kind of, I don't really care. Is that weird? Like it was the Olympic stuff, the Diana Taurasi stuff, and the Al McCoy stuff. That's good stuff, I feel like. But it just kind of seemed like, man, I don't know. How do you feel?
Yeah, Booker. I don't know. Like again, I felt like both Booker and KD were hungover. I mean, they must have been at KD's party. Obviously, his 36th birthday was yesterday, and so he had a party. So my assumption is they had a good time. But yeah,
he was John at the Cardinals game too.
2 weeks.
He was there with Magic Johnson.
Yeah. So it's like the last 2 weeks against the Cardinals, they played the Lions. Booker was there wearing Lions gear, and then they played the Commanders, and then KD's there wearing Commander gear. So like John Tran says in the chat, big beard Booker. Definitely looking more full. Nothing overly impactful from Book, and I don't think they're necessarily needed to be. Just kind of understood that there's expectations upon him, and he's going to do his best to kind of go out and execute. Then you had Kevin Durant.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
Durant, he made eye contact with me with a couple times, he wasn't trying to block that eye contact, but he came out and I feel like he was a little defensive at the front end, and he just started kind of flowing with the conversation. That was just my perspective from the outside looking in, because KD's KD. What were your thoughts on KD?
He was dogging you the whole time. He was the first media day here in Phoenix last year. He was kind of laid back, still serious, but just kind of more chill. This time he was just like John's over that way. It's just like, oh, what's up? What? I don't want to look over there. You better not answer the question.
What's interesting is the way that it's set up is the stage is, like everyone sees, and then there's a little seating that's off to the right. And if you're sitting off to the right, you're kind of up against the wall, but that's also the wall where the players that come walking in, the walk up on stage. So we can see them far out.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there wearing what I'm wearing right now. I mean, the Brightside logo is very prominent. And there was a couple times like someone started talking, he'd look right over at me because he I assumed that he thought I was going to ask him some kind of question. Like I just assumed that. And again, I'm clearly narcissistic here. Or is that the right word?
Yeah, no, yeah. And I think that he probably just doesn't even remember. He was probably really drunk that night. He doesn't even fucking remember.
Yeah, right.
He has, I think he might not, but he was sitting there with James Jones. He took a picture of them hanging out at the bar area.
Yeah.
And he looked over. I think he just was like, "Wow, is that Sun's Jam, dude?" Like, yeah, that sucks, dude. He's like, I just didn't want this to happen. He was like worried the whole night. And then the first guys he sees, it's John and then the other guy from Sun's Jam.
He's like, motherfucker. He's like, those guys have the best drop for me out of all the podcasts. And I blocked them, and I can't tell them that because I have to hate the media in every capacity. Okay, I'll just get up there and I'll talk about, I mean, he really had to have a nice conversation, talking about Dikembe Mutombo, who passed away today.
Yes.
What a horrible day. Dikembe Mutombo and Pete Rose.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even know about any of them. So
well, that's because you don't have Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
You get your news from me now. Both passed away today, but Dikembe Mutombo, 58 years old, obviously. Dana Scott, I got to text Dana. I didn't say hi to him. He's like one of the only people I didn't say hi to. I was there, and Dana, I love Dana Scott, but he a huge college basketball guy, and he was asking about, obviously with Mutombo going to Georgetown and being in the greater Washington, D.C. area, what it meant to Kevin Durant, and he was just like that guy was the guy. He was, just always the consummate professional, and it's a sad day for the NBA. Only 58, brain cancer, man. It's just sad.
Only 58. Wow.
Only 58, man. Dikembe
Wow.
Mutombo, R.I.P.
Damn. Super young. Yeah, it's super sad. There wasn't anything else really to take away other than maybe Royce O'Neal I had in my notes too.
Well, let's rock some Royce.
Yeah, bling bling. Rolls Royce, Rolls Royce, Rolls Royce, yeah, nigga, Rolls Royce.
I did have one thing on my notes on Royce O'Neal, but I'd like to hear yours.
Oh, he stopped eating candy, I
That's
guess.
all I had.
Yeah, he's on a newer diet too. So another slimmer guy. He didn't look slimmer. His face
did.
definitely did. Looked a little slimmed down. Beard looked good too. But he's a guy that is under the radar as well. Could have a big year for the Suns again. So he did talk a little bit about the extension coming back. So he's happy to be here as well, obviously. Just like Bol Bol, who was like, it's a no-brainer. So
yeah. Royce O'Neal, that's all I had is he stopped eating candy and he doesn't eat peanut butter. Peanut butter M&Ms are not his thing.
I love the Kellen Olsen the questions. Kellen Olsen goes off the mic. He
just starts yelling back at him.
Yeah, he starts yelling back.
He's like, I got to follow up.
It's not always a follow up to his. It's like a follow up, and they're good questions. It's
they're
funny.
great.
Yeah,
It's just good, solid conversation.
Yeah.
And of course, there was Bol Bol.
Up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's
Bol Bol, motherfucker.
The reason they're ahead of schedule, right?
It
was good.
Yeah, he was.
Answers.
Bol Bol was. So I missed Bol Bol last year, just like I missed Damian Lee this year. And everyone, we were there with Suns Geek. So Suns Geek, I actually gave him a ride down there. He flew in from Tennessee to go to Suns Media Day, and he stayed and listened to Damian Lee. That's right when I got up to go just have a quick snack to eat, and Suns Geek comes walking around the corner. He's like, dude, what Damian Lee said was just fucking profound. I was like, damn it. Because last year it was like Bol Bol. That was the talk of the town, was Bol Bol's interview. So I made sure I stayed for Bol Bol this time.
Mhm.
And it was just like, they're like, so what do you think of, all these new teammates? He's like, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. But there was a comment by
Didn't have
Beal
much to
though
say.
about Bull. Did you remember when Beal was talking about Bull? He said he got light years better
Yeah.
this offseason. So and
Yep.
Bull was talking about he's like, I just stayed here and played. He obviously didn't play for Serbia.
This is South Sudan.
No, South Sudan. My bad.
He does
Yeah,
not look
after I
Serbian.
said that, I was like, no, that wasn't Sudan.
He does not look Serbian.
Oh man. But he said he was staying here, and he said he spent like 2 weeks with Kevin Durant. And then after that, he was basically here just playing, getting ready for the season.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that we're going to see a leap from Bull. I do. And I know that I've been very negative on what his ceiling could be. But, like, he's doing all the right things. And I think that Budenholzer is going to have, Budenholzer is going to be strategic and use him correctly. Whereas I feel like Frank would throw him out there just because the crowd was yelling, like, we want Bull. He's like, okay, there he is.
And then, he would do fantastic. What was his net rating with Nurk was like the best on the team?
Yeah, but then Frank would sit him. He's like, on a road trip, no one's saying. He's like, I don't know to put him in, but fans aren't telling me to do it. He only does what the fans tell him to do.
Oh, we forget about him too. So it's okay, Frank.
Well. Any other thoughts on Suns Media Day or just Suns in general? Like, here we go, man. This is what our
here we go.
5th year covering them.
Yeah. And I think just the food in the back, just always good. Really good coffee. Like I love their coffee, and the food they have in the back is like what we always get at halftime. At the beginning of the game. It's good.
Legit. It's legit. Like shout out to Ishby on that, because
it's amazing.
I remember talking to Dave King, and he would be like, dude, like last season we went through, he's like, dude, it was not like this with Sarver.
Yeah.
He was not like this. And I've actually had some conversations with other SB Nation managing editors, right? So like we have a Slack channel. Obviously, I'm the managing editor for Brightside. So we have a Slack channel for all of us managing editors to share stories. And there's some arenas where if you're a member of the press and you want to eat food, they charge you for it. They charge you as you go through the line. And here it's just like, take all the waters and sodas you want.
Yeah, here it's take whatever you want. They have beer, they have alcohol, they have really good. It's just like gourmet food too. They have the hot dogs at halftime, which are really good, but like prime rib.
We were right next to the Wetzel's Pretzels, and we were thinking about hopping over and taking some
nothing
cheese.
beats that, man. So Matt Ishbia, if you want to go another step above, just free Wetzel's Pretzels.
Wetzel's Pretzels. Yeah, David in the chat says, saw Zion interview, looked like it was in a basement. Wizards, same thing. That's what the Suns Media Day was a couple years ago. It was across the street. And I know I've shared that story before, but it felt like a basement. It was like one big room and that was it. Whereas this is like they use that whole front lobby at the Footprint Center and they do it so very well. It's a great setup.
It's well presented. And I think they used to do it. Now it's like a club now at the arena, but they used to do it on the court. That was a practice court they used to practice on in the arena. Yeah, that was pretty.
Yes. All right. Well, Jamsters, looking forward to another year. When should we pod next, and what are we going to pod about?
Well, the next game you said is the 6th.
We have like a week until the first post-game pod that we'll be doing. I think that's the 7th against the Lakers. We pull up the old schedule on my other screen here that no one can see, our sign-up sheet.
When's the Jammies? Is it going to be like the 18th or something like that?
I feel like the Jammies we always do. Yeah, like so. Okay. So Sunday the 6th. So this Sunday, 6:30 p.m. is when we play at the Lakers. So that'll be our first post-game pod. And then we have 5 preseason games, with their last one being on Thursday, October 17th. Mm-hmm. And then Wednesday, October 23rd is the season opener against the Clippers. So prior or after the 17th and before the 23rd is when we'll do the Jammies.
Okay.
So, I mean, we'll see about maybe doing one more podcast this week if any news comes up, because there should be news. Training camp starts tomorrow. In fact, like while we're talking, I just got an email from the Sun saying, hey, if you want anyone to go cover the training camp at the practice facilities, let us know, and we'll take care of that. So if anything pops up, if there's any news stories to pop up, make sure you tune into the Suns Jam Session podcast. Again, a good reason to turn on your notifications, because we don't know when the fuck we're going live. So how are you going to know? Well, you'll know when the notification goes on. So subscribe, rate, review, wherever you're at. Matthew, any final words you want to share with everybody?
Nothing. Go home and love your family, everybody.
Word up. How do I click this outro button? It's like this new thing they have here. It's like click video clip. Click it.
Oh, no. Has it changed?
Yeah, who knows? Let's just click this. It's still going, isn't it?
Is this still going?
To stay to this is stupid. Oh, it says play outro and end. Stupid. We just know you guys love this song so much.